I know. Arizona in August, but I'm heading to northern Arizona, just outside of Kingman. The first night I spent was in my favorite spot just before open, and to give the new truck a little bit of a test run. Everything seemed to be working great, and of course we met up with the usual Oatman donkeys. They're everywhere. Unfortunately, the road through to Kingman was closed, I think to the recent flash floods and such. So I had to head on out, go back down to Bullhead City, and go around the long way. I think Arizona was trying to tell me something on that one as well. The desert is amazing. Despite the high heat and drastic weather changes, there's beauty everywhere. Animals, plants. Just gotta slow down and take a look. It's amazing what you'll see. Check out these wild coyote gourds, as they're called, that just grow throughout the desert. Fascinating. Not long after I arrived at Bob and Ange's, I was put to work. I was there for a job. We ran some wires through the conduit to give Ange some power to her art studio, and it was a great time. I learned a lot. These quail, they make the cutest sounds, but the wind was so loud I couldn't capture it. And then we got our good old friend Louie, that's the family dog, that's always on patrol. The next day, Angie took me on a field trip to her friend's house. I'll let Tammy tell you the name.
Wild Orchard Oasis Farm.
Now, isn't that a face YouTube would love? Okay, so these folks bought this farm / orchard just about a year ago. It was overgrown, run down, and they spent the last year cleaning it up and rebuilding it. It is fantastic. The entire time I was telling Tammy, you need to do a YouTube channel. People would love to see the progress of this. Well, hence is why you're not seeing any video. I only took some snapshots because I do believe I convinced her to start a YouTube channel. And boy, am I going to subscribe and follow along. They're learning as they're going. They came from Oregon. It's amazing what they have done in just a year. Behind the greenhouse that they erected, they have the farm, which is protected by Lady Gordidia. As I mentioned earlier, the property was really overgrown. So overgrown they couldn't even walk through the orchard. Now they have trimmed up, cleaned up, and the different types of fruit and nut trees are starting to produce again. It's pretty exciting to see the new growth, and with a little water, what can happen?
And I've got some berries that I weren't doing so great, but I trimmed it back and they're coming back.
I'm telling you, this is not even a joke. This is gorgeous. Say that again. Ready, action.
3 olives. You sit out here
It's really nice at nighttime too.
Yeah. Oh, and all the solar lights. So that's all these. I've got like solar lights in here. Yeah.
Name of your farm?
Wild Orchard Oasis Farm in the high desert.
Coming to YouTube real soon. Thank you so much, Tammy and Harold, for that private tour. We'll be looking for you on YouTube. Well, we headed back to Ange's and I found this plant or bush flowering out in their acreage. Come to find out, it's extremely poisonous. It was a great visit helping wire up Anja's art studio. It was getting late, so off to bed we go. Woke up with a nice warm breakfast, and I headed on out for the next adventure. Leaving the Kingman area, I headed northeast on famous Route 66 to my next destination, which is Bearizona. Arizona in August? Yeah, you may be thinking, well, let me tell you, it never got over 81 degrees in this area of Arizona. I passed through some really cool little towns that all that's left is really gas stations. Man, I wish I could have filled up here at 29 cents a gallon. This station is located just east of Hackberry, which I've been to before, in the little town called Valentine, Arizona. The next town was Peach Springs. Don't blink. Grand Canyon Caverns was next, and I was very excited following the billboards to take the tour of the caverns. However, when I actually got there, no tours were operating because the elevator was broken. That was really sad. I was really excited to see them. This is also a campground and RV park. They had a general store, so I stopped to get some ice, and I was greeted with the most rudest woman ever. That was sad. Heading east on Route 66, I was greeted with a bunch of groupings of signs, which reminded me of going through South Dakota, Walls Drugs. These signs, however, are sponsored by Burma Shave. They're very cute, keeps you entertained. Burma Shave was the second highest selling brushless shaving cream in the U.S. Sales declined in the 50s, and in 63 the company was sold to Philip Morris. Its well-known advertising signs were removed at the time. It was then sold to the Safety Razor Company, and in 67 they reintroduced the road signs. I then arrived in Seligma, Arizona. I think they are as proud as Kingman, Arizona for their Route 66 heritage. It was packed with tourists, busloads actually. It was really exciting to see all the sights and cars, things like that, dating back to those days. Mater? If you ever come to Seligma, make sure you bring some stickers. This old VW bus is where you put them. And out of the corner of my eye, I think I saw Betty White. Oh my gosh, is she like Elvis? Is she back? My next stop was Ash Fork, Arizona, the flagstone capital of the USA. The community was established as a siding of the Atlantic and Pacific Railroad, later known as the Santa Fe Railroad, in October of 1882. It was named in 1883 by F.W. Smith, General Superintendent of the railroad, in reference to a thicket of ash trees at the site. I checked out the Ash Fork Tourist Information and Museum and found all kinds of goodies in there to see. Oh my gosh, it was awesome. Ash Fork was the location of the Escalante, a large hotel and Harvey House built in 1907. Ash Fork's convenient location along the railway and later famous U.S. Route 66 made it recognizable to many cross-country travelers, as evidenced by its fleeting mention in several films in the era of classic Hollywood, such as 1947 Dark Passage with Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. Here is a diorama of the Escalante Hotel and Harvey House. Check out the chandeliers in these old photos. The Historic Society acquired 2 of them, had them completely restored, and they now hang proudly in the museum. I found this pretty interesting. They used old railroad cars and turned them into jails. Man, I'd hate to be in prison in Ash Fork during the height of the summer. Just a hop, skip, and a jump, we are in Williams, Arizona, the gateway to the Grand Canyon. Traveling north on Highway 64 takes you to the entrance of the Grand Canyon. Founded in 1881, Williams was named for Old Bill Williams, a famous trapper, trader, scout, and mountain man who often trapped in the area. A statue of Old Bill stands at the Monument Park. The large mountain directly to the south is named Bill Williams Mountain. The city was incorporated on July 9, 1901. Williams was the last city whose section of Route 66 was bypassed, due to the lawsuits that kept the last section of Interstate 40 in Arizona from being built around the city. After settlements called for the state to build 3 Williams exits, the suits were dropped and I-40 was completed on October 13, 1984. Interstate 40 was opened around the town, and the newspapers the next day reported the essential end of US 66. The following year, Route 66 was decommissioned. Mom, you're gonna love this stop. Bearizona. Opened May 22nd, 2010 and welcomed over 80,000 paying visitors its first year. By 2012, it welcomed over 175,000 visitors from all around the world. Bearizona is approximately 160 acres. Visitors will drive through more than 3 miles of ponderosa pine forest, viewing North American animals in their natural habitat. More animals are exhibited in Fort Bearizona, a beautiful 20-acre walkthrough area along winding paths, which is more of a zoo-type setting. I did not visit the walkthrough area as I'm saving that for the next visit. Entering the Big Bear area was a treat. Look at the scratch marks on the trees. Absolutely amazing. On this 3-mile one-way road, it's like a line of vehicles, so you have to keep moving. It was really difficult to film and creep along, so I apologize in advance for the shakiness of the camera, but I think I grabbed some good footage of these bears. Bearizona is conveniently located in the heart of northern Arizona and nestled amongst the beautiful national forest. Williams is considered the gateway to the Grand Canyon. Williams' central location allows visitors to stay and experience northern area's beautiful sights and activities. Bearizona is 1 hour south of the Grand Canyon South Rim, 30 minutes west of Flagstaff, and 3 hours southeast of Las Vegas. Bearizona is home for orphaned or confiscated wildlife. Over half the animals that call Bearizona home are rescued or rehabilitated animals. Once here, they will spend the remainder of their lives in large, naturalistic enclosures, digging, climbing, swimming, and playing with one another. Bearizona is a member of the Zoological Association of America, as well as the American Association of Zookeepers. Once you enter the wildlife park and travel along the approximately 3-mile one-way road through the different enclosures, once you end or complete it, you can do the loop again or as many times as you want. I think this is my favorite part, watching the bears chillaxing in the pond. Back in Valentine, Arizona, maybe 30 or 45 minutes west, is the Keepers of the Wild Nature Park. I visited that in one of my previous videos, and that is a must-see attraction as well. And if you're ever in Rapid City, South Dakota, you need to go see Bear Country, USA. My visit to Bearizona was during the week, and at times I felt I was on a ride at Disneyland with just a line of cars coming through. I can't imagine what it's like on the weekend. So I'd recommend, if you're going to visit Bearizona, do it during the week. Once again, sorry about the shaky footage, but the line of cars that you creep along and trying to film at the same time can get hair-raising. Until next time, Bearizona, it was amazing. Traveling east on Route 66/Interstate 40, I left Bearizona and headed for Walnut Canyon National Monument, located about 10 miles southeast of downtown Flagstaff. The canyon rim elevation is 6,690 feet. The canyon floor is 350 feet lower. A 1 mile long loop trail descends 185 feet into the canyon, passing 25 cliff-dwelling rooms constructed by the Sinagua, a pre-Columbian cultural group that lived in Walnut Canyon from about 1100 to 1250 AD. Other contemporary habitations of the Sinagua people are preserved in the nearby Tuzagut and Montezuma Canyon National Monument, both of which I'll visit later. Sinagua is a Spanish word for without water, an acknowledgement that the Sinagua people were able to live in such a dry region. By living in such a region, the Sinagua became experts at conserving water and dealing with droughts. The Sinaguas were also believed to have been active traders whose activities influences stretches of the Gulf of Mexico and even as far as Central America. These images are of the homesteads on top of the canyon, which overlooks the cliff dwellings down below. The Sinagua people left mysteriously around 1250 AD. It's thought that the Sinagua left because of the neighboring tribes or droughts, but it's not certain. They left over 80 cliff dwellings behind. They built their homes under limestone ledges deep within the canyon, somewhere between 1125 and 1250. Walnut Canyon was proclaimed a national monument on November 30th, 1915 by President Woodrow Wilson to preserve the ancient cliff dwellings. Leaving Walnut Canyon and traveling north on Highway 89, I headed to Sunset Crater only to find it closed due to a recent wildfire. Leaving Walnut Canyon and bypassing Sunset Crater, I ended up in Wupatki. Nestled between the Painted Desert and the Ponderosa Highlands of northern Arizona, Wupatki seems like an unlikely landscape for a thriving community. In the early 1100s, during a time of cooler temperature and wetter seasons, the ancestors of contemporary Pueblo communities created a bustling center of trade and culture. For the Hopi people, these sites represent the footprints of their ancestors. Wupatki was first inhabited around 500 AD. Wupatki means tall house in the Hopi language. It is a multi-story Sinagua Pueblo dwelling comprised of over 100 rooms, including a community room and a northernmost ball court ever discovered in North America, creating the largest building site for nearly 50 miles. A major population influx began soon after the eruption of Sunset Crater in the 11th century, somewhere between 1040 and 1100, which blanketed the area with volcanic ash, improving agricultural productivity and the soil's ability to retain water. By 1182, approximately 85 to 100 people lived in Wupatki, but by 1225, it was completely abandoned. I have to say, to be able to walk down in and around all these structures was amazing. To look at how the people lived, it was, I don't have words for it. Wupatki means tall house, as we mentioned before, and this whole structure was built around ginormous boulders. I don't know if you can kind of see them throughout the structure. Today, Wupatki appears empty and abandoned, but it's remembered and cared for. Although it is no longer physically occupied, Hopi believes the people who lived and died here remain the spiritual guardians. Stories of the Wupatki are passed on along Hopi, Navajo, and other Native American tribes in the region. Members of the Hopi bear, Castina, lizard, rattlesnake, sand, snow, and water clans return periodically to enrich their personal understanding of their clan history. Amidst what would seem a generally inhospitable area due to the lack of food and water sources, several artifacts have been located at the site from distant locations, implying that the people who inhabited Wupatki were involved in trade. During numerous excavations stretching back to the site's exploration in the mid-1800s, items from as far as the Pacific and Gulf Coast have been located at the site, such as many different varieties of pottery and seashells. Wupatki was established as a national monument in 1924 and was listed on the National Registry of Historical Places in October of 1966, covering 35,422 acres. Traveling north on 89 to Cameron, I headed northwest on Highway 64, climbing out of the arid desert into the mountains. Leaving Wupatki, I made it to the Grand Canyon East entrance just before sunset. One of the first pullouts and scenic views is Desert View Watchtower, also known as the Indian Watchtower at Desert View. It is a 70-foot high stone building and is located about 20 miles east of the main developed area at Grand Canyon Village. The four-story structure, completed in 1932, was designed by American architect Mary Coulter, an employee of the Fred Harvey Company, who also created and designed many other buildings in the Grand Canyon vicinity, including Hermit's Rest and the Lookout Studio. The east side of Grand Canyon National Park is often referred to as Desert View, for a simple reason is, right here, if you look there, out there, way out there, is the desert down below. And that's where I came up from. Not many people come to this side of the park. Everybody's all about that west end. But I made a point to come in through the east side and to experience the Grand Canyon and the desert views. By now, the sun was really starting to set, so I did the 20 miles west towards the Grand Canyon Village to exit the park, for which there is some BLM land, otherwise known as free dispersed camping, to spend the night and get up and go back into the park to really explore all its wonders. The new high-top camper shell really is nice, so much more room. And I did a little time lapse with the fire reflecting on the trees of the sky. It was pretty nice. While researching the Grand Canyon, everything pointed to getting there early in the morning to get the best chances to get to see the areas that are only available by bus. With that said, rise and shine, I got up, made myself some breakfast, and moseyed on over to the entrance gate and queued up in line. Just a few miles up the road, once you enter the park, you'll end up at the Grand Canyon Visitor Center. Now, this is the big parking lot and the hub to catch all the different buses. Get a map as soon as you get there, because it can be a little confusing. The Grand Canyon is broken up in rims: the North Rim, the East Rim, the South Rim, and the West Rim. Previous videos will show me at the North and West Rims. Here at the South Rim, you'll see the different colors. Each one of those is a different bus line. All of these bus lines are accessible from the Visitor Center except one, the Red Line. To get to the Red Line, you have to take the Blue Line. All these areas are accessible by vehicle. Parking is very limited, except the Red Line. No vehicles are allowed into the Red Line area or at Yaqui Point off of the Orange Line. Bus only. Of course, hiking and bicycling is allowed. Love your mom.